Okay, hello again. As you are getting ready to start your lab report, I wanted to give you just a quick overview of how to navigate all of the information that is in this folder. So we're going to go to a environmental science lab site. All right, you go to your laboratory folder. Come on down to stream analysis. Now, read the information here, okay? You are going to read through test equipment in your lab book. That is going to give you some background information on the lab. And then you're also going to review stream analysis 1 and 2 so that you understand the application of the data we're providing you. And this is also where you get some of your standards for the nutrient concentrations that are going to be in the water. So your nitrate, your phosphate, your dissolved oxygen, there's going to be some numbers that you're going to want to compare the data that's provided to you, which would otherwise be known as your results, when writing your lab report. So because we're not actually going down to the stream anymore, we have provided you with the data to write your lab report. You can write the lab report without actually doing the experiment. We're going to go through it virtually, okay? And then please also notice that the grace period does not apply to lab reports. These things are very long. They take a significant amount of time to write, which means they are very arduous to grade. So I am not going to grade them later out of sequence. So this is the one lab that you absolutely have to turn in on time. I will not take it after its due date. Your lab report is worth 15% of your lab grade. So understand that if you do not complete this lab, the highest grade that you can get in the lab portion of the class is an 85. Okay, so let's get moving here. So I'll enter this folder, okay? And these are just some general directions, okay? So I'm going to open those and I'm going to set those aside because I'm going to refer to them later, all right? But you are going to want to, of course, read through these. And let me go back to the site. And then we're going to open up this folder. Now, there is quite a bit of material in this folder. That's why in the general directions, it is broken down for you by week. So you effectively have the next 3 weeks to submit your written lab report. Listen, do not wait until Saturday night, 3 weeks from now, when this is coming due on Sunday. You will not be able to get this done. This is the reason this has been broken up into 3-week increments so that you can do it in pieces and submit on time, okay? It's nearly impossible to do this in one day, okay? So week 1, follow these steps, okay? You're gonna review the guidelines and additional resources in the folder. You're gonna take the scavenger hunt. You're going to read through the introduction to test equipment to get your background information, the 2 labs that cover this report, and then you're going to start working on your hypothesis and your introduction, okay? So let's go down and just kind of take a look. There are 3 things that are required for you to submit. This is the scavenger hunt. You're going to use the guidelines up here in this folder and additional resources to complete the scavenger hunt, all right? Then scroll down. Here's your analysis. Now, this is just, your hypothesis. This is just your idea, okay, based upon what you have read previously, so some background information on what you think the outcome of experimentation is going to be. So for this lab, we normally, in person, would go down to the stream, carry out some nutrient experiments for nitrate, phosphate, dissolved oxygen. And prior to going down there, we would question, well, how clean, effectively, do we think the stream is? Because nitrate and phosphate are both environmental indicators of usually agricultural runoff, but runoff from urban areas, which the creek, as you'll see in the map, goes right through the city of Utica. So what do you think? Would you drink the water that's in the creek? And if you would, you can say, I think the water is going to be exceptionally clean, clean enough to be drinking water. And you can test that, okay? If you think that the water's polluted and there's not a, chance in heck that you would drink it, well, then you can say the hypothesis of this study is that the water is polluted and not safe to drink. Both of those are acceptable hypotheses. The whole point of an experiment is to, of course, test a hypothesis. So that's pretty much all you're doing here. You're putting in what you feel the outcomes are going to be prior to doing experimentation. Then let's go down here, okay? I'm going to touch on this folder in a moment, but your last thing, your final thing is the whole report that gets uploaded and submitted here. Okay, so this is a written document by you. I will know if you copy and paste from other sources without citing them. I will know if you have the same report as someone else. Okay, so this has to be in your own words. You can paraphrase resources that you use. You can use, you're expected to use definitions, but you need to cite those, okay? And you can work with a partner. However, you must write your own lab report. If you submit a verbatim lab report, you will receive a 0. And the reason I say that is because it happens almost every single semester. So please don't do that. Write your own lab report. So those are the 3 things in this first folder that you must do: the scavenger hunt, submit a hypothesis, write the lab report. And these are weeks 1, and then the 3rd week is you finally have to submit this, okay? Now, let's look in these folders, okay? So you might be like, oh my God, I have to write a report. Don't worry. If you haven't written a report before, you're going to be fine because you have all of these resources that we've provided to you. The very first item are the guidelines that I have written specifically for this lab report, okay? The second item is a Google document that Professor Carrie Williams created, and I've left it in here not to confuse you, but because I liked the way she explained things, okay? So this is a short document that kind of touches on some of the important things that are going to go in the different sections, okay? So you're going to have an introduction, a methods and materials, results, and then discussions. Okay, you'll see that in the rubric. But she goes through and kind of walks you through a couple of examples, which I also have examples in the other longer guidelines, but I just kind of like the way that she explained things. So read through this. It's very short, okay, but it'll help you kind of with the thought process of what you need to be considering when writing your lab report, okay, and that was the lab report guide 1. This guide comes with the rubric, and this is your North Star for writing this report, okay? So let's open up those guidelines and take a look. This is a park map if you decided, you wanted to go down there. Let me do this. Okay. So this is specifically for writing the stream analysis lab report. The way that I have created the title page is how you should also create your title page with your title of your report, your name, your semester, whether you're online or what your day and class time is, and then the date that you have written your report, okay? This just kind of shows you the formatting, okay? And then you come down, and I've explained in detail what you're going to do and how to do it, okay? So your first section is your introduction. You're going to use background information and address the things that are included on your rubric, which we're getting to, okay? So just carefully read through this. Break it up into sections. Do the introduction first, okay? Don't even worry about the data yet. Don't even worry about that. Write your introduction. You can write your introduction without any data, okay? So read through the introduction. Then once you got your introduction done, okay, then you can start worrying about the data. Now here's some do's and don'ts. I have written this in rich text format. I do not expect you to do that in your lab report. I've done it so that you pay attention to things that are a little extra important, okay? So like you gotta have units in each one of your columns, okay? This This is not an exhausted list of columns. You need to recreate the data table that is in Stream Analysis 1 of your lab manual. I've just given a few here for example, okay, but you need nitrate, phosphate, dissolved oxygen. You'll see the data's down there, okay? You are going to break up data into abiotic and biotic. Abiotic is non-living, biotic is living, okay? So nutrients versus critters. Sorry, we have a spectator for this recording, is my little baby, and she's getting restless. So you're going to categorize, okay, your biotic data into plankton, zooplankton, and benthos. You will have a Google image and a hand drawing, okay? The hand drawing, you can draw, take a picture, you can draw in a program if you want. However you want to get that hand drawing in there, that's fine. And then also the Google image of the critter that you're trying to draw, which I've provided for you. So you can just copy and paste those images into your table. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a moment here. And then writing your discussion. Okay, so you will have written your introduction. Okay, then after the introduction, focus on the data, get it organized, okay, into its tables, and then you're going to start thinking about what does that data mean. So when I say what does that data mean, you need to tell me essentially, is your water contaminated with nutrients? Is there enough oxygen in that water for your critters to survive? Why is the oxygen concentration high or low? There's a number of reasons, and that could be. And as you read through the lab, you'll start to understand how things like temperature, flow rate of the water, and other environmental aspects influence the concentration of oxygen in the water. So don't worry about that. Yeah, again, this is just we're just kind of previewing what you're going to do. As you work through this, it will start to make more sense. So don't get overwhelmed. Just go through it in pieces. And then again, I've stated here, okay, read through this. It kind of goes through the thought process. Miss Williams, Carrie Williams, I'm Miss Williams too, but Miss Carrie Williams, she used this portion of my lab report and then elaborated on it in her document. So there is a little bit of repetition, but that's good. Hopefully it'll help you, remind you, how you should kind of be working through the thought process of this. So this data is in your lab book. Now, Latuka was the former author of your lab book. Now myself and two other professors are the current authors, so you can just use Geary because I'm first author. That is my maiden name. I am now Miss Williams, so I was Miss Geary a few years ago. Anyway, read through this, okay, again. And then, okay, lastly, as you are getting through all the things that you need to discuss for your discussion, okay, you need to also reference everything. You'll be using definitions, you'll be paraphrasing, maybe. All of that stuff needs to be referenced. Now, I've had students say, I feel like I'm referencing every sentence. You might. In the introduction, you might be referencing nearly every single sentence. In the discussion, there won't be as much referencing, okay? But you still probably will reference some, especially when you're discussing the watershed, okay? Lastly, on this document, okay, we're going to get to the rest of the folders in a moment. Make sure you allow yourself enough time, guys. This is why I have this broken up over 3 weeks, okay? Not just one and done. This is going to take you some time, so plug away at it. Do not wait until last minute. Now, finally, okay, here is your rubric. This is a point-specific breakdown of how you're going to be graded, okay? Was your title page formatted correctly? Do you have your name, your date, your course section, all that jazz, okay? In your introduction, look at, if you're like, I don't know what to put in my introduction, even after you've read all of the materials, okay, if you're still confused, here's basically a bullet list. Did you define nitrate and explain what it is? What's its relation to the environment, okay? Because there's a basic definition of what it is as a molecule, but what does that mean in terms of the environment? What role does it play in the environment, okay? Did you define and explain phosphate? Did you explain the difference between biotic and abiotic? Did you give examples of those things? Did you describe and define phytoplankton, zooplankton? Okay. How's your spelling, and your grammar, and your syntax? Run your document through editor. Okay.